Hello everyone, and welcome back for another RGB RPG's DM Prep Guide. Today we are looking at session 16 of our Descent into Avernus campaign, and as always there's going to be a lot of spoilers ahead. So if you are a player or plan on being a player in Descent into Avernus, go ahead and click away. If you're a DM who wants some insight into how another DM might run these sessions, session by session, go ahead and check out this series. So, the party is still in the catacombs beneath the High Hall of El Terrell. They're going to be getting out pretty soon, just a quick fight that they're dealing with, and then a rest before they level up, and then head out into the city once more. Yeah, pretty straightforward start for the session. When they do get out there, well, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. When they do go for their rest in the spot with all of the other refugees in the High Hall Catacombs, they will get a chance to talk to survivors and see what's happening. They will discover that the Helm of Torm's Sight, an ancient, powerful, and very well-known artifact that is known to be within El Terrell, is located in the Grand Cemetery, the very same place that the swarm of undead has been spewing out of recently. Ulder, knowing of this, decided to go and check that out, stop whatever was causing the undead to flood out of the cemetery, and potentially recover the Helm of Torm's Sight. So, the party will then be tasked with going to find Ulder, saving him if possible, and recovering the Helm. The Helm is a very important part of this because the Helm of Torm's Sight does kind of what's on the label. It gives the players a vision of how they can stop El Terrell from falling, how they can save the city, and potentially maybe even save Zariel. So, they're going there, and this session is essentially going to be the players dealing with whatever's left in the catacombs, talking to who is left in the catacombs, the survivors, and then making their way over to the Grand Cemetery. There's a few good things to go left in the catacombs. There's some magic items, some weapons that they can pick up, bracers of defense, a couple of yellow elemental gems as well. But yeah, there's also an escape tunnel that used to lead away underneath the city from the catacombs. That now leads to a kind of a view of the beneath the city. Think of El Terrell as kind of an inverted mountain now. Anything that used to go underground, a lot of it ends in just sheared off sections that now are exposed to Avernus below. So the players will learn about this secret passage, and then they'll be able to take a look at what's happening beneath the city. The epic battle of the Blood War that is raging a few hundred feet below them. They'll get a good look at why the Devils are having such a hard time securing El Terrell. They have bigger problems below at the moment. They'll also get the first chance to see Zariel in action. Her swinging her massive hammer around, igniting the battlefield with righteous fury with every swing. They'll get their first chance to really see what they're up against here. So yeah, so after all of that, they leave the High Hall Catacombs and start making their way eastward through the city towards the Grand Cemetery. I do have an encounter set up for when they're on their way. That could come in or out. It may be on when they're on their way back, but whether it's on their way there or when it's on their way back, a Bone Devil is going to arrive, taunt them a bit, and then raise a bunch of dead Elturellians, Elturgardens, a bunch of people from El Terrell that had fallen during the collapse of the city, and raise them up, and we got a Bone Devil fight with a bunch of zombies and skeletons. This party is definitely leaning more towards a combat-heavy party, so that's going to be something that we're going to be doing a little bit more of. Probably aim for 2 combats per session. But yeah, if it seems a little combat light, we'll go ahead and throw in the Bone Devil. If it seems a little combat heavy, we'll go ahead and leave that out. It's been a long time role-playing in the catacombs. We may just let them get straight to the cemetery today. When they arrive at the cemetery is where a lot of really interesting things start to happen. Gideon Lightward is the main active component of their interactions in the cemetery before they reach Ulder. He was introduced to the party on session 1. He was one of the people gathered at the meeting of local leaders at the very beginning, very session 1. He was there. Ray is going to know this man, and what he has turned into is once more going to drive home the disillusionment in Rhea. At this point, she's going to start to get very reckless. Unless the party can talk her down, she might start getting herself into situations that are just increasingly dangerous for her. It all kind of leads up to whether or not Rhea survives this. So that's a really, really big one. And obviously, her fate can have some pretty big impacts on the party. But this is one of the big linchpin moments. The first was obviously Thavius Krieg and his betrayal and confirmation of his betrayal. Um, and then now we get to the spot where she sees yet another figure that she trusted and looked up to has fallen. Lots of different ways we can lean into Rhea's whole story here. You can even have her approached by a devil in the service of Zariel, well disguised and with a silver tongue. Maybe able to convince Rhea that her mentor is right. But that's a kind of evolving thing. We'll see how much involvement the party wants to give Rhea in all of this, and the stories are there if they want to go into them. So yeah, but Gideon Lightward, he was approached by agents of Zariel about a year ago in this story, and they were whispering those things in his ear about how Zariel was now fighting the good fight, fighting to make sure that evil never spilled over into the realms of mortals. And in so doing, she fights for the devils. So Gideon has been having these devils whisper in his ear until he has finally gone completely mad. And just before the city fell, he had given himself entirely over to Zariel. Now, he died when the city fell in a building collapse, but the magic of Zariel and her hold on his soul would not let him rest. And so now he is back as an undead creature, utterly devoted to Zariel and commitment to the Blood War, to destroying demonkind and stopping them from ever proliferating throughout the multiverse. So Gideon is there, and the party will get a couple opportunities to see him when they get to the High Hall, when they get to the Grand Cemetery. They either see him back in his office, or if the players end up going the straight route in and end up attacked by all the shadows and wraiths and all the other shit that's waiting for them at the cemetery, at the Grand Ossuary, the big monolith in the cemetery. If the fight breaks out there and any of his minions get back to warn him, he will meet them in a different spot in the cemetery, in the ossuary, I think they call it. And if he does get warned and he goes to meet them, a very interesting thing happens. The players enter, they're about to go downstairs, and Gideon Lightward is there with several devils as well. At this point, demons surge up from the basement below and attack. Gideon, utterly committed to the fight against the demons, kind of scowls at the party and turns to face all the demons, ignoring the party for now. The party has some interesting choices here. They can enter the melee and just start fighting and killing indiscriminately, and it kind of goes as you'd expect. Everyone fights to the death, and Gideon could be defeated here. Or the party can sit back and choose to do nothing, in which case Gideon and his devils will put down the demons that are coming up, and then they'll turn and then decide what to do with the party. Finally, the party can enter the fight on the side of the devils. If they do this, Gideon will see that their intentions here are to stop the demons from flooding out into the city. And if they can convince Gideon that their goals align, at least for the time being, they will let them go down and try to save Uldur, and they will not try to get in their way. Of course, when they come back up, it's a very different story. Gideon still has the tiniest modicum of himself left in there. He was an honorable man, and now he is bound by laws and deals. So if the players talk him into a solid deal, an agreement, he will not break that agreement. Of course, if the players just enter on the side of the demons being the utterly chaotic forces that they are, will not give a single hell, and they will still just attack the players. There will be no reasoning with the demons. So that's really as far as they probably won't even get that far today, but that's about as far as I expect them to get. There is more going on down below. Uldur is downstairs in the ossuary basement, and he has some problems of his own. So we'll just scroll down the rest of this a little bit. We have some of our main NPCs still. We still have Rhea. We have Ellen, who is the cleric that the party met in the catacombs below. She will make it clear that she is willing to go with the party if they'd like her to. She's not going to try and press herself onto the party or anything like that. But she is there as an option as a healer if the party wants to take her along. We have Gideon, talked about him a little bit earlier. Gargoth, the Hidden Lord, has been a bit quiet since we got down into Hell. His escape attempt failed. He is regathering himself and trying to decide what to do next. And of course, we have Lulu, the endless ray of sunshine down here in Hell. Grand Cemetery and the Ossuary are the only new additions here. We have our mummies for the initial fight. We have the Bone Devil, zombies, and skeletons. And then we do have the Minotaur skeletons, which ambush them on the way to the cemetery as they're traveling through the cemetery. Interesting thing about that I did forget to mention is that while they're in the cemetery, there's going to be hundreds of undead just kind of wandering around aimlessly throughout the cemetery. They have been raised by Gideon, but they have yet to receive orders from him. So they kind of just wander around, and they will not fight the party. They have no orders to do so. They will just kind of shamble around in the cemetery. Even if a player walks up and starts hacking one down, they're not going to try and stop them. After the party deals with Gideon, that could change, but for now, they're kind of just there. We have these Minotaur skeletons, though, that are intentionally sent to defend the place. So they're wandering around amidst these shambling skeletons and everything. Party has a chance to notice them before they become a threat. Do with that what they will, possibly fight them, hide from them, whatever it may be. Some items for this session as well. There's a set of +1 studded leathers somewhere. If the party, I'm just waiting for the party to come up to a good situation where they can snag that. Whether it's on a fallen person in the city, maybe in one of the sarcophagi, somewhere else in the catacombs, whatever it may be, a +1 set of studded leather is on the way for the party. We have the braces of defense, which are in the sarcophagus, and the 2 yellow elemental gems, which are also in the sarcophagus. As far as our campaign map goes, we are about to add more to this, but for now, we are still on rescue Ulder from the Grand Cemetery and get the Helm of Torm's sight so they can see the way to save the city. Then finally, get to the surface of Avernus. So yeah, that is what we've got for today, everybody. As always, thank you very much for watching, and these will be available on our Patreon a full month before they make it to YouTube. So if you want to check them out a little bit earlier, go ahead and check the link below. Thanks for watching, everyone.